What's going on, everyone? I hope you're having a good day. It's your boy Jay Icy or Jicey, and today I actually have something very exciting and I think pretty fun, since I'm going to be talking a little bit about what I saw in 2021, as well as also going over and just talking about, I would say, my favorite show of this year. Now, to pretty much just dive right in, I want to say that I did watch a lot of TV shows in 2021, but they weren't shows that came out in that year. They were shows that came out previous years and stuff that I kind of just rewatched again. Stuff like The Office or even Blackish, The Goldbergs, stuff like that I've been reoccurring and just been coming out for the past couple years. However, there were 3 shows that I was able to watch that did come out in the year 2021, and I'm going to briefly gloss over 2 of them and kind of talk about my favorite one out of the 3 in a little bit more depth than the other 2. Now, I would say my least favorite out of the 3 would be Cowboy Bebop, the 2021 edition, where it was live action, and I kind of don't have a lot to say about that one, since I think I'm only on episode 3, so I haven't really seen the whole series and actually, was able to form my actual own opinion. But the thing is, from what I've seen so far, I kind of like it. However, I have read other reviews and been seeing other people react to it, or even people just telling me that it wasn't really good and it was cringy and more or less a sitcom rather than what the anime was that it's adapting. And so right now I kind of have like mixed emotions on the show. Like I said, I haven't finished watching it, so I can't really form a whole opinion, but so far from what I'm seeing, I'm kind of liking it. But if it does take a deep dive into something that I don't like and starts to become cringy or whatever, then I might give it a lower rating. But for now, I would say that the rating is pending, and I can't really give something that I haven't experienced. Now, the next show that I watched in 2021 was Squid Game, and I'm not going to say too much about that show because I do plan on making a video in the near future, and so all I got to say is that I did enjoy it, and I didn't think it was overhyped or overrated. I thought it was a pretty good show. Would have been my favorite show, but the next one I'm going to say is my favorite show that came out in 2021. And so my favorite show of the year would be Vincenzo, and I don't think a lot of people have heard about this one, at least in the United States, because it's a K-drama. And to sort of give a brief analysis without putting any spoilers out there, and for pretty much just to kind of in some way convince you to watch it, or in a way clickbait to watch the show, a brief analysis is: during a visit to his motherland, a Korean-Italian mafia lawyer gives a conglomerate a taste of its own medicine with the side of justice. The show had a budget of 20 billion won, which in United States currency, it would be $18 million. The show has 20 episodes, with each episode running about an hour to an hour and a half each, and well, within that time, I thought that the story was pretty good and very entertaining. Now, for today, I'm not really going to go over a full-on analysis or deep dive into what the show really is about or anything in too much detail, because I want this to be spoiler-free. And honestly, this is mainly because I'm pretty much recommending you this show, and I want you guys to watch it without having anything known about the plot, and other than that, I like the show, and pretty much I'm just going to give you the reasons why I like it. And so to start off, I want to say that the story, or the plot, whatever you want to call it, it honestly really is good and nothing too out of the ordinary. Overall, the premise of the show is, I would say, pretty interesting, and definitely, not something new, but definitely something different, to the point where you think, yeah, this is very unique. The story follows a man real named Park Joo-hyun, as he was adopted as a child by the Italian mafia and later turned into a consigliere, which is a lawyer for the mafia, and renamed Vincenzo Casano. However, after his adopted father dies and his brother Paolo sending a hit on him, Vincenzo decides to leave back to South Korea in order to find a secret stash of gold that he hid there when he made a deal with this other Chinese tycoon. And so he's kind of returning there to get the money back, which he plays in a plaza, like a mall, and now he has to get it from there. However, he finds out that some company actually illegally took over the building, and so getting the money out, or the gold, is going to be a big problem, and so he kind of wants to pretty much take them down. However, doing this, it kind of goes into a slippery slope of other stuff, where it uncovers that there's something definitely darker going on than meets the eye. And so the show is pretty much him dealing with the tenants of the building while also trying to take down the company, and also doing his secret plot of trying to get the gold out of the building. Now, like I mentioned earlier, I thought the plot was pretty good. However, what I think really makes the show are the characters that are in it, because they all bring something to the table and make it very interesting. For instance, the main character Vincenzo, played by Song Joong-ki, honestly, I thought it was perfectly casted. I haven't seen him in anything else because this is my first K-drama, but I thought he played the character very well and was, like I said, perfectly casted for the role. And well, Vincenzo is pretty much set out to be this perfect man. He's handsome, he's smart, he knows how to fight. However, as the show progresses, you tend to see that, there are some things that are, bothering him, and that he's not at all, well, I wouldn't say he's not at all perfect, but there definitely is more to this person than meets the eye. Now, one character I do want to mention by name is Hong Chang-young, played by actress Jeon Yo-min. And well, I want to mention her because she is the female lead in the show and the love interest to Vincenzo. And I thought their chemistry was pretty good on the show, and nothing felt forced or awkward. I think that, the banter they had between each other and the chemistry was actually pretty good. And you honestly think that they really are, I guess, like I would say, interested in each other. However, one specific group of characters that I really enjoyed watching in the show were the tenants of the plaza that the money or the gold is stashed in. And well, I thought, each individual character was very funny. They're set out to be these quirky type of people who in some way are, I would say, weird in a way, like in their own unique way. Now, although they're pretty much the comedic relief of this show, I would say that, they do have their moments where it is serious and dramatic, and that you tend to start to care about these people, just like how Vincenzo starts to care about them when they're being harassed or taken advantage of by a corrupt company. And well, another thing I want to mention about pretty much every character in the show is that they don't really go out of character and do something that really wasn't out of the ordinary. They pretty much do have obviously their arc and their character development, but nothing really happens that you start to think, that person wouldn't do that, and that was weird. They did something that was, like I said, out of the ordinary and abnormal. And that brings me into the storytelling of the show, which honestly I thought was pretty well paced, and like I said, the plot was unfolded pretty good, and everything kind of just fell into line. It had a good amount of callbacks, a bit of foreshadowing, and definitely a lot of symbolism of certain objects or even certain, I guess, scenes in the show that meant something more and had a deeper meaning to it. In addition to the show being a K-drama, which obviously it's just Korean drama, it definitely did have a lot of comedy and surprisingly a lot of action, thriller stuff, and at some moments, or for the most part, it kind of felt like a spy film. And well, you don't really get that a lot with a lot of the shows these days. And well, with all these dramas, you pretty much get a little bit of everything, and anyone going into the show gets like I said, a little bit of everything, but also find something entertaining and interesting about it. The cinematography was great, and I believe every scene was beautifully shot. There wasn't just regular medium shot or anything like that. It was, like I said, very diverse in it, and like I mentioned earlier with symbolism, there are specific shots that are very important and that pretty much stay in your head, and something you should look into in the show. The mise-en-scène, which is pretty much the setting in the environment, was honestly very pleasing to the eye, and nothing really looked ugly or just unpleasing. The costume and design was, I would say, on point. Every character did look exactly like what they would wear with their profession, especially with Vincenzo having all these expensive suits, and actually it being part of like the story about some jokes about him wearing some suit and someone saying it was a fake. I thought that was pretty interesting, including the clothing in the storyline as well. Now, two things I do want to mention about the show that really much isn't as important to bring up, but it's just something that I thought was pretty interesting, and it kind of just was brought up into my head while watching it, is that for some reason this reminds me of Arrested Development. Now, honestly, it doesn't really have to do anything with the plot or the story. It's just, I would say, the dynamic of the cast. Like I said, the characters are really what I like about this show the most. And well, in some ways you can kind of see a bit of similarities between Vincenzo and Michael Bluth of Arrested Development, with them pretty much being the straight man and the only normal one in the show, and having to interact with this ensemble cast filled with funny and quirky people who have something about them that is weird, but they also do have their moments where it's emotional and dramatic, and you tend to pretty much care for all these characters. And so pretty much, like I said, it really has nothing to do with the plot, but just the dynamic and relationship of the characters and how they interact with, like I said, someone being in some ways perfect or very serious, interacting with a group of people who really don't take a lot of things seriously, and just are pretty funny to watch and to care for. Now, one thing I do want to mention about the show is, for some reason, I feel like this is what CW wants to make, or at least what a good CW show would be like. And I don't mean that to disrespect Vincenzo in any way, the show, but it's just, I feel like this would, like I said, be on that channel. But the thing is, it doesn't belong there because this show is actually pretty good and well written. And I don't mean to diss CW like that. I do like some of their shows like Arrow and The Flash, but you know, they've been falling off lately. And I think Vincenzo is just like a CW show that was well written and better planned out, and actually used their budget for, you know, for good, and made sure to not waste the money and, you know, bring it into the show. Now, I say this mainly because, you know, in those CW shows like Arrow and The Flash, we have a main character who in some ways is somewhat perfect and has something about them that pretty much is to help other people out. And they also deal with a bunch of other characters who are made to be, you know, the comedic relief of the show. And, you know, each of their interactions is meaningful, but also just funny and sometimes dramatic. In addition, the show Vincenzo does have a villain in it. However, I don't want to say anything because that is a crucial plot point in the show. So if you guys want to find out the villain, I would say just watch the show and check it out, because I don't want to say anything right here, right now. I just want you guys to go watch it, basically. Overall, I would say that this show is a great time and honestly was very fun to watch. And as a matter of fact, I was actually recommended this show by a friend. So shout out to you for putting me onto this, because I had a good time watching this. And it actually became obviously my favorite show of 2021. Now, unfortunately, there actually are no plans for a sequel for this show. And well, to be very honest, I would say that it really doesn't need one, because I think that the show pretty much wraps up perfectly without, you know, going into any spoilers or anything like that. And at the moment right now, I really can't think of a way to continue this story, to kind of say like, oh, maybe they could go this route. But for now, I would say that it's a pretty good limited series. You know, pretty much has a good beginning to end story. And so to pretty much sum up the video, Vincenzo is my favorite show of 2021, with followed, you know, by Squid Game, and then third, Cowboy Bebop. And that's just obviously by default, since I only saw 3 shows in 2021 that came out that year. And so that's gonna be it for today's video. Like I said, I just want to recommend you this show, and also let me know in the comments if you think are gonna watch it, you know, if I've convinced you to give it a look. And if you have watched it, let me know what you think of this show. I'm very curious to see what your opinions are on this series, because well, I thought it was a pretty good one, so I just want to see if other people thought of that as well. Thank you for watching, everyone. I'll see you guys in the next video, and remember, keep it peaceful, stay safe, and have a good one.